Hey everybody out there, hope you guys are all doing well today. And today for you guys, we're going to profile a deck that, I can say this honestly, I didn't even know this was even a archetype by any stretch of the imagination, if it is even still after this video. But it was one of those type of decks that I just said, you know what, let's try to build it as best we can with Master Rule 5 being a thing. And it actually turned out to be pretty fun and pretty cool. It's just a fun, casual deck that I just came up with out of the blue. And that's my Goblin deck. Or, as we'll call this deck, the Goblin Attack Force deck. So this deck is a fun deck by, all standards. But, I didn't even know there was a lot of cards with the name Goblin out there. I'm hoping we get like a Goblin Rhoda card eventually that says like search one Goblin monster from your deck or one Goblin card. That would be really nice for this deck. But it has a lot of potential, and there's enough cards out there in the game of Yu-Gi-Oh now where you can actually construct somewhat of a deck out of this. So yeah, let's get into this. We'll talk about all the different things. It's going to be a pretty long video because there's a lot to explain. Because you're probably saying, how the heck did you even come up with this idea? Yeah, I wonder that too, but it just came to me. And as I started to build the deck, and just putting more cards in and seeing which Goblin cards I wanted in and what Goblin cards I didn't, well, quickly found out what worked and what didn't work. So, yeah, let's talk about this. So this is pretty much, this deck, as you're going to see as we get through the deck profile, is pretty much a rank 4 based deck, with a little bit of, spice sprinkled in, because I do want you to keep in mind, as we're going through this deck profile, how many level 0 monsters you see. That's kind of important, because you'll see here, we already have 1, 2, 3. Some of these other ones, we have 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I think we have like 10 monsters that are level 0 defense, which does play a key part in the deck. So we'll talk more about that when we get to certain cards. But pretty much these are the OGs of, Goblin monsters. You have Goblin Attack Force, which was used in the meta for beatdown decks way back in the day. And we have Goblin Elite Attack Force, which is 22,000 attack and 15 defense. Now, people may say, hey, maybe you want to make this more of a beatdown strategy, and you want to run things like gravity bound, and like not gravity bound, but like to stop monsters from going in defense position. I say I tried that out, and I want to say a thing that puts it a kink in that is link monsters. Yeah, link monsters kind of put a kink into that. Let's make this just a beatdown strategy deck. So what I decided to do instead is to take it a different route and make it a rank 4 based deck with the ability to bring out big normal summonable monsters like this that can just beat through and do a whole bunch of damage. And if they die, hey, there's different things we can do. So it also has a little bit of a warrior engine. You'll see a little bit of that because a lot of the monsters in our deck that are somewhat essential, like Goblin Attack Force being one of them, is a warrior, but Goblin Elite is a fiend. So yeah, but these are just the OG ones that we run 3 of. Next up, we run 3 Scolding Goblin. He's pretty much in here because sometimes you'll get his effect off. And when I mean sometimes, once in a blue moon, because your opponent can discard a card from their hand to negate their effect. But hey, this deck does have a little bit of hand control element to it. So hey, maybe they're discarding a card. They're like, dang, I don't want you to search, so I'm going to discard it. So that way you don't get your effect off, but I'm losing a card out of my hand. Hopefully they're not getting a benefit off of it, but you get what I'm trying to say. Mainly you're going to use him for rank 4 fodder, but you will get the effect off from time to time. And people pretty much don't know what the heck you'll be searching in a Goblin deck, so a lot of times actually they'll just let the effect go through. I found this out from online, and in real life people are like, oh, it searches a Goblin card? Like, okay, I'm not too scared of a Goblin Elite Attack Force, and then one thing leads to another, and yeah. But yeah, just 3 Scolding Goblin as well. And then we run 2 Goblin Black Ops. Now there is Goblin like Decoy Squad, which you could also run in the deck, which pretty much allows you to draw a card if it inflicts damage, which is I would say a little bit better than Scolding Goblin, but that's up to you to decide. Like, if you want to run, you know, Decoy Squadron instead of Scolding Goblin, I wouldn't be too upset about that. That's up to you. Like, that's something I'm even playing around with still as I build this deck, and the next update may be a little bit different than this one even. But Black Ops Goblin I really like because what you can do is you can attack your opponent directly. Now you may say, what's the point of that? Well, there's certain cards in the deck that can help you do certain things. But also do keep in mind that he has 0 defense, which is somewhat integral. But he's just another monster that has a different benefit of just being able to do a little bit of damage to your opponent by attacking directly. So it's pretty nice, and I like them. They're kind of cool looking. Next we have Goblin Burg. Yes, you know, we have, you know, ninja assassins, we have attack squadrons, we got elite attack squadrons, we got sad goblins, we got flying goblins, you know, we got all these different goblins. You're starting to see like, wow, there's a pretty big archetype for goblins in Yu-Gi-Oh! I never knew about. Yeah, there is. So Goblin Burg is just another rank 4 playmaker. It's also kind of integral that to remember that he has 0 defense. That's somewhat integral, which we're going to talk about shortly. But he's just another rank 4 playmaker that I decided to run a 3 of because it's a goblin-based deck. And you pretty much are focused on rank 4s. So, yeah. Next up we run 2 Photon Thrasher. Some more warriors, you know, that help spam out on the field and just be able to go for rank 4 plays. Just more rank 4 extenders. So this is an engine I've been trying out in the deck as well. So it's something that initially I wasn't running, and then I was saying to myself, let me try it under Master Rule 5. So I put this deck off for about a month or two. And then when Master Rule 5 came out, you know, in April, I said, okay, let me revisit this deck. And I tried the Clown engine. And I said to myself at first, I don't like it. And then I started playing around with the deck more and more. And I said, I actually like it in the deck. So this is something I'm playing around with right now. This is just a, you know, clowns on their own, they're a rank 4 playmaker. And you know what's more scarier than, you know, ugly goblins? It's clowns. So this deck can scare your opponent into victory. You know, you can scare your opponent so much with clowns and goblins that they just forfeit the match. Bad jokes. But yeah, this is really, in all seriousness, this is a good rank 4 engine in the deck. And I really, really like it because this can help you give you a little bit of protection. In addition to that, gives you searching. These can help you extend plays. And this is also another rank 4 playmaker on its own. So these are just, it's a rank 4 playmaker engine that you have the space for, so I like it for that reason in the deck. Especially on a deck that really just does not have the rank 4 playmaking ability built in. So that's your rank 4 playmakers. But we also, like I said, run a little bit of spice. So remember what I said about keeping in mind that the monsters that you had that had, you know, 0 defense? Remember I was saying about that? I said that's somewhat important. Especially these 3, which are you're mainly going to use most of the time. It's because of this card here. Now, if you don't know what Masked Chameleon does, I'm going to read it to you guys very quickly. It's a card that came out back in Zexal. Can't be normal summoned if you control level 5 or higher monster. That's fine. When this card is normal summoned, you can target one monster with 0 defense in your graveyard. Special summon that target in face-up defense position. Its effects are negated. You can't special summon monsters any other monsters except from the extra deck during the turn you activate this. So you can only synchro summon for synchro monsters, and because these are all level 4s, you get to go for level 8s. So you can go things for like Omega, Scarrite, and some other level 8s out there, which is pretty neat to have that little bit of a tech option. And because these are reptiles, and this is a rank 4 deck, like I said earlier, we do run 2 Kage Tokage in the deck. And this is just a little bit of a reptile engine. Maybe this is me just thinking of reptiles after building the alien deck a few months ago. But, you know, I did decide to throw into the deck 1 King of the Feral Imps because this is a rank 4 deck. And you can either search out depending upon, you know, what monsters you're detaching. Maybe I'm detaching a Goblin Burg, right? So I'm detaching a Goblin Burg for King of the Feral Imps effect to search out a Masked Chameleon, which is a reptile, and now I'm setting up for plays for my next turn, so I'm already working on my next turn. And then maybe I don't want to do that. Maybe I want to go for another rank 4 next turn, so instead I search out Kage to Kage. It's, they go for a rank 4 play next turn. You see where King of the Pharaoh Imps plays this little niche, nice little thing, and you can run more King, but I just like it as a 1-of in the deck. But yeah, it works really nicely in this deck because you can search out synchro plays and exceed plays with King. So it's really nice how it all works together. We also run hand traps, and if you want to run Call by the Grave, run it. If you want to run Ghost Ogre, DDD Crow, Drill and Lockbird, I don't know, Ghost Mansion and Spooky Dogwood, whatever you want to run. Whatever you want to run for hand traps, run it. Or anti-hand traps, run it. This is your space for that. So we're running 3 Ash Blossom because it's generic and it hurts most decks. So that's for that. We run a few spells. We don't run a lot in this deck. As you can see, a majority of the deck is going to be a monster deck. So it's like a monster mash deck to some degree, but not really in the true sense of it. So let's just go over our spells that we run in the deck that are all 1-ofs actually, because there's really nothing to use besides 1-of spells. So we run Warrior Returning Alive because we do run some integral warriors. Goblin Burg is one of the main ones you're going to use to help go for rank 4 plays. So you want to have a little bit of recovery for your warrior monsters in grave. So that's why I'm running the 1 optional Warrior Returning Alive. It just helps recur some of your dead resources in grave, which is nice. Double or Nothing, this gives you OTK potential with this deck, which is nice. Foolish Burial, this is for the Clown engine mainly. I will admit to you that sometimes if I draw Masked Chameleon first turn, so if I drew Masked Chameleon first turn and I drew Foolish Burial, some situations have come up when I'll Foolish Burial a level 0 defense monster. So maybe I'll Foolish Burial a Goblin Attack Force to grave. And you may say, that's really bad. Well, hey, if I'm setting up for a level 8 synchro play first turn, like, why not, right? So it's mostly there for the Clown engine, but it's also can be there to help set up synchro plays, which is cool. Upstart Goblin, it's a Goblin card. You got to run it in the deck, right? It just helps you draw in your deck. And Rhoda, because we do run a good amount of warriors, so Rhoda is nice. And Monster Reborn's Monster Reborn, so it's pretty self-explanatory in the deck, I feel like. So yeah, those are just the parts of the deck. So next I run 3 Storming Mirror Force, and if you guys remember what I said at the beginning of this video, I was talking about how I was trying to run things like prevent monsters from going in defense position, which was nice and cute and cool. And you could still run those, but I decided to run Storming Mirror Force because, well, that's nice and everything. My big goblin monsters are not always going to be able to beat over your bigger monsters, perhaps, right? So what helps you protect those defense position monsters and also deal with bigger problematic cards in the field? Storming Mirror Force. Now, you could run Infinite Impermanence. You could run anything, really. But I like 3 Storming Mirror Force in the deck because they'll think they can run over a goblin monster, and then you go, Storming Mirror Force your field. And people do not expect Mirror Force in 2020 as much as they should. So, yeah, 3 Storming Mirror Force. It is a little bit slow being a trap and being a battle trap, but I find that in this deck specifically, when people's mindset is, oh, you attacked over something, I'll just run over your monster when it goes to defense position, they don't think about cards like this, and it works really well for that reason. Next we run 2 Robbin Goblin. Robbin Goblin is really cool. It's a goblin card, and it's one of my old OG cards that I used to run back in the day. That's why these are rares actually. But I used to run this back in hand control days. So what does Robbin Goblin even do, you may be asking? I'll read it to you very briefly. Each time one of your monsters inflicts damage to your opponent's life points, 1 card is randomly selected from the opponent's hand and discarded to the graveyard. So, remember how I said this gives you a little bit of, Black Ops, in combination can do some stuff? Well, yeah, you can attack your opponent directly, you can do some damage to your opponent and maybe discard a card. Now, granted, in certain decks, you don't want to be discarding their key cards to grave, so that's why I said this is a more casual fun deck. But in casual play, this is so fun because you get to play that old school strategy of hand control in 2020, which just does not exist nowadays. So I like that aspect in the deck. So 2 Robbin Goblin, you can replace it with something else, but I like it in the deck. And it's really cool. And you can actually search it out, which is kind of cool too. So yeah, guys, that is the main deck. Let us get on to the extra deck here. Field Center, because I decided to play this one randomly. Like I said, this is more of a rank 4 deck, so we run King of the Feral Imps, which we talked about earlier, Bagasucha, Tornado Dragon, Castel, Abyss Dweller, Utopia, and Evil Swarm Exciton Knight as well. These are pretty much just all your basic rank 4s you could think of you're going to go for, because this deck is mainly focused on going for rank 4s. You will go for links and synchros, which we're going to talk about. So Scarite Dragon for your synchro play, Omega, which is nice, and also Starter Spark Dragon, because sometimes you'll go for Starter Spark Dragon to maybe protect a defense position Goblin monster or protect a back row. So in certain situations I like this because this gives you a little bit of protection element for your big beaters sometimes or your back row cards. So yeah, I just like this. It's decent. Phoenix Blade, Phoenix, Cerberus, Unicorn, and Bull Sword. These are just your generic link monsters that you sprinkle in because you can go for them. And in certain situations they can be helpful. Monster removal, back row removal, spinning stuff, OTKing. Why not run these? Like, why would you not, is my opinion. So yeah, that is the deck in a nutshell, guys. Like I said, there is no 10 print. There's no layout of how to build this deck. There was nothing. There literally is nothing at all. I literally just said one day, has anybody ever built a Goblin deck? And I said, no. So I said, okay, I'm going to build it. And I tried it in different ways, like I said at the beginning of this video, and I found that the rank 4 spam ability, a rank 4 beatdown type of deck that can have some synchro plays sprinkled in, hey, it's pretty cool. So yeah, enjoy this deck, guys. Like, it's a fun deck. It's something you take to locals and play against your buddies because you're like, hey, I'm bored of playing the meta and I just want to play something unique. And this tells you how creative I can be with my deck profiles when I have the time. So yeah, till next time, guys, take care. Have fun dueling. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a thumbs up and remember to subscribe to the channel. And I'll see you all next time. Take care, everybody, and good luck dueling to all of you. Seto Kaiba out.